Hello, I'm Louise Momba. Welcome to A Current Affair. First tonight, he's Western Australia's most recognisable and controversial political figure. And in a fortnight, he's due to face court to answer 5 counts of giving false evidence to the CCC. But Brian Burke has come out swinging, launching a scathing attack on the corruption watchdog. He joins me now in the studio. Mr Burke, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Firstly, what can you tell me about what life has been like living under the scrutiny of the CCC?
The best way to explain it is to ask you how you'd feel to have every one of your telephone calls listened to your family and friends about matters that didn't involve the CCC or any of my business, to have every single email copied and read and filed away, to have every fax copied and read and filed away, to be followed by investigators with cameras, hiding in trees to film you while you're having lunch, and to go outside your front door and see people sitting off in cars who are watching your every move and recording who comes to see you. The other thing is, what happens to all of these tapes and records? Do they just exist forever? Do people read them and get some sort of vicarious pleasure out of what other people do in their lives?
Sure. Well, we actually have an example of one of the surveillance conversations between you and now former Minister Norm Marlborough. We'll just play that now.
Just pushed for time, or don't say, I've got this phone, ring me on this number. Just don't tell them the number. You don't need anyone else to know you've got the phone, mate.
Yep.
Promise me?
Absolutely. Done deal.
What phone are you using?
The one, the agreed one.
Good. All right, mate.
You see, even on this house phone,
Yeah.
the house phone's picked up by the premiers,
That's right.
so you can't use it anymore.
Yeah, you can use it because I don't know what numbers get dialed on.
What do you think when you hear that?
I'm having trouble thinking when I hear that because I didn't hear it.
Okay.
It's difficult for me to comment on the tape you've played because I don't know whether you heard it, but I didn't.
But you know about that particular conversation. It was one of the ones more commonly played with
I've heard
Norm
of some
Marlborough.
of the conversations that were played, but when you said you were playing that one, I guess the people at home heard it, but it wasn't played here in the studio.
But you'd be familiar with it. What's your reaction to it? You've heard yourself on those calls. What do you think?
I can't comment on that specific tape because I didn't hear it, but I can say this.
Yep.
I feel terrible about what happened to Norm Marlborough simply because he was a friend of mine.
With only police, Mr Burke, could we have another WA Inc? Are we setting ourselves up?
I don't understand that question. How did the WA Inc. Inquiry depend upon the police?
The CCC came about because of WA Inc. Why is your suggestion or your ideas to improve the CCC going to make it better? Just trying to explain that.
Well, I'm not sure that it's correct to say that the CCC flowed out of WA Inc. But even if it is, this is the point. The CCC has not had a single success, apart from some low-level convictions of people, I think, who waived parking or speeding fines. Every one of the findings against public servants were overturned.
Speaking of Norm Marlborough, is it true to say you're the kiss of death for WA Labor politicians? Is that fair?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, if what you're asking me, am I to blame for the election loss, the answer's no. Alan Carpenter and Jim McGuinty have no one to blame but themselves. They took a 17-seat notional majority and turned it into a 3-seat minority. They called an election to fight Troy Buswell, turned around and found that they were confronting Colin Barnett. Then they didn't give people enough time to remember what it was that they didn't like about Colin Barnett. Now, I know you want to get on to other things, but let me just summarise by saying we had the biggest boom in the state's history. We had one vote, one value, giving us a 17-seat notional majority, the worst opposition in living memory, and we lost. And you want to say it's Brian Burke.
How do you think you'll be remembered in this state?
I really don't know. I mean, I suppose half the people think that I'm a bad person, other people think I'm a bit strange or odd, and there might be 10 or 15% of people who love me and think, well, he was interesting, but I'll be gone.
How would you like to be remembered?
as a good father and family person.
Mr. Burke, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.